That's one big dog.
Oh.
Good.
My daughter has a bad weekend, so I think she had plans.
How are you?
Good. Hey, Chilton's good today?
Stay warm, John.
I'm trying my best.
Hey, John.
Hey, how are you?
You didn't mind you putting that shirt on?
Big crotch. Crotch one, crotch. Yeah, crotch. Philly facility.
Oh, you will? Okay.
Randy's looking at me.
Line guard? Where is she?
Thank you very much. We're going to get started today with the President of the Massena Federation of Teachers, Ms. Erin Coble.
Well, welcome to Massena Central School and Mike Nichols football field. I am so honored to be standing among you today in celebration of this awesome community. But before I begin, I would like to take a moment to recognize one of our own. Aiden Henry, a first grader at Elementary Nightingale School, passed away earlier this week. And because we are such a close-knit community, a loss such as this affects us all. So please join me in a moment of silence as we reflect on Aiden's life. Thank you. Before I begin, I would like to take a minute because before we can go on with this day, we need to recognize 3 people who this day would not have been possible without them. And even though I feel like the MFT is getting a lot of credit and our local politicians are getting a lot of credit, a lot of the hard work and the nitty-gritty stuff came from Celeste Norman, Lauren Fountain, and Mike Zagrabelny. They have done all the running around, all of the planning and organizing. They have been awesome, so thank you guys so much. A short time ago, when I thought of my brothers and sisters in the union, they were my fellow teachers and other educational staff, and that is no longer the case. My union and your union in the North Country consists of steelworkers, auto workers, electricians, teamsters, nurses, postal workers, and many others, and they are the best workforce, I would dare say, in the country. Since this endeavor began, I have been asked countless times why. Why rally? In the last week even, more have asked why, especially in the wake of the announcement of the governor and Senator Schumer. And the answer may be different for everybody, but I'm going to tell you my answer. The North Country is my home. I raise my children here. I work every day with your children at Massena Central School. Home to me is about the people, and I want those people, my children and your children, to be the future of the North Country. I want it to prosper. I want them to want to come home and build lives for themselves right here. And when I look around today, the overwhelming feeling that I have for the North Country is that of pride. As I stand here with you today, I believe that we can build a future for our kids right here, but it has to be together. The relationships and coalitions that we have built in recent weeks need to grow. We need to demand that the North Country gets noticed, that industry and tourism want to establish roots right here. We cannot rely on Alcoa to be the only game in town. We owe it to our friends, our families, our neighbors, and the future generations who want to call this place home to move forward and create opportunities that revitalize the North Country. So today I celebrate with you. I celebrate our past, our rich history, the families we have proudly raised here. I celebrate with our recent victories, but most importantly, I celebrate our futures and what is to come of our North Country. Thank you. Have a great day.
Witness management and labor working together to solve the problem, to put people first. And what I witnessed is federal, state, and local officials working together again to put people first. And I know when this rally was planned, it was about supporting the men and women that work at Alcoa and showing solidarity, and that's still very much true today, but it's also about how we move this community forward now. And there are a few people that, and I've thanked so many people in the last week and a half, but I truly want to do that very quickly again if you'd indulge me. Certainly we have to thank Senator Chuck Schumer for his direct involvement in this. We have to thank the governor. We absolutely have to thank the governor. He recognized this problem. His team was engaged immediately, and they began to work on this, and he stepped in and brought the state resources to solve this problem. So thank you to Governor Cuomo. We also have to thank our state leaders, Assemblywoman Addie Jenny Russell. We also have to thank our neighboring senators, Patty Ritchie and Senator Little. And, during those 22 days, I was on the phone with a number of elected officials, but there was one individual that I spoke to, I think, every single day. If I didn't call him, he called me. He had his pulse on this from day one, and it's evidenced by his presence today. So we need to thank Senator Joe Griffo for being here. Senator, thank you. We have to thank the New York State Power Authority. They've been supporting this plant and labor for years. They continue to do so through this deal. Contrary to what some people want to tell you, NYPA is a great community partner. They provide 250 good jobs in this community, and they support so many things from recreation to economic development and all of the things that we do in our community. The relationship with NYPA should be strong, and as your mayor, I'm going to rebuild that relationship so NYPA is a good, solid partner in this community for years to come. We also want to thank the Empire State Development Corporation. And folks, we have to thank Alcoa. In these difficult times to make the decision they did, and then to reverse course. Just think about that for just a second. Who does that today? They make decisions and they move on. Alcoa chose not to do that. They came to the table, they listened, they reached an agreement. This is an Alcoa community, and if we do this right over the next several years, we can ensure we're an Alcoa community forever. So thank you to Alcoa. But most of all, we have to thank the members of 420A, our United Steelworkers. They showed unbelievable grace, patience during some very difficult times. I am so honored to call so many Alcoans my friends and my neighbors. So thank you to the members of Alcoa, 420A, the United States Steelworkers. Forgive me. So very briefly, folks, this is a time in our history, I think, that, that gives us the ability and the impetus to see what else this community can become. And as I said, we're going to go forward with Alcoa. But, I've often said, and I've heard it from so many people, the greatest predictor of the future is the past. And here in Massena, we have reinvented ourselves so many times. And if you think back and how that Our economy originally was based on the hotel industry, centered around the Massena Springs. And then in early 1900, the Pittsburgh Reduction Company came here, built their plant, built a canal, built a power dam, now known as Alcoa. We built the St. Lawrence Seaway. We built the Moses Sanders Power Dam. Reynolds came, General Motors come. We have the St. Lawrence Center here in northern New York. Massena's done a number of things and changed our economy over and over again, and we're going to do that again. You know, and when you think about people that like to criticize right now, and you know, particularly a lot of it on social media, Massena's stagnant, they haven't changed, that's not true. Us changing, radically changing our economy has been the backbone of our community for years. We work as a team, and we are not afraid of challenges here in Massena. So as we've reinvented ourselves, folks, let's continue to look to the future. Our next wave of development, how do we do this? We do it by working together. And one thing we're not going to do, we're not going to let Alcoa or anyone else decide the future of this community. We're going to decide that for ourselves. So let's take a deep breath, but let's get together immediately and start working on it. Let's start working collaboratively. Let's work regionally. Let's work with every partner at every level to make Massena stronger and better. Are you with us, folks? Folks, there's nothing wrong with this community that we can't fix with what's right with this community. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Aaron, I want to thank you and all of the organizing committee today. Let's give them all a great hand because they did an extraordinary job. And even nature's cooperating. Mr. Mayor, it's really a pleasure. I'll tell you, for all of you who live here, I've known the mayor in the time that I've had the opportunity to serve and represent this great community as police chief and now as mayor. And I think he's got an outstanding village. He's got a great capacity and vision for the future, and he's just an exceptionally hard worker. I'm proud of him and his leadership, and I know we're going to see great things. Mayor, thank you so much. This was about partnerships, and I want to as I look at all of you, I want to say thank you. I want to thank you, each and every one of you, because the most important aspect of anything that we could do is represented by all of you, because you are the finest workers anywhere. Give yourself a round of applause. That's what it all begins with. And beyond being the finest in what you do at work, from your talent and your work ethic, you are the best people around anywhere. I'll tell you, I am so proud. Go ahead. I'm so proud of each and every one of you. To be your representative is humbling, because I know that all of you not only work very hard, but you care so much about this community. You have a great passion and enthusiasm for your community, and I think that is so important in today's world. There are so many challenges that we face each and every day, but to know that we have a community that cares, that has compassion, that has a commitment and a resilience is so important to me. And I think those are the factors that made our efforts so successful. You, because we joined together in partnership immediately after we heard that decision at all levels of government. And the mayor articulated that well, from the governor to the U.S. senator and the members of the state delegation, all of us, local government officials, the town, the village, everybody came together because we knew we had an excellent argument to make here. And I'm so glad that it worked that way, and I'm so glad that the mayor has talked about how we need to reposition our future here too. Because today, we stand here in solidarity. Today, we demonstrate support for one another and what we accomplished. But more importantly, we are also standing here today to commit to securing our future. And I believe and know that we can do that, and that's because of all of you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Our best days lie ahead.
Workers more than the man I'm about to introduce. I've known him for most of my life. He likes to yell at me. He still yells at me. He yelled at me earlier today. He keeps me in line. Mr. Ernie LaBaff.
Thank you very much, and it's really great to see all of you here today and all the politicians. But one observation I'd like to make, Alcoa just didn't come back to the table. The solidarity of the people at 420 and the politicians made Alcoa come back to the table. Let's make that a short. I've been involved next year. I start my 65th year in labor. I started at Alcoa in 1951. And when people talk about the 50s, I was there. That's when America was the greatest economic power in the world. You want to know why? Because the unions were strongest in the 50s than at any other time in our country. It is organized labor, the greatest instrument of social justice in the world today, that has made America what it is. Nobody else, nobody anywhere, but organized labor has America what it is today. We should have these rallies all over the United States of America. This is what we need. I cannot believe what's going on in this country today. We go back to PATCO. Ever since PATCO and the air traffic controllers were fired, we've had a difficult time with labor and organizing and representing people. But you know what got me? They pardoned draft dodgers, they pardoned mergers, they even pardoned the president. But they could have pardoned the air traffic controllers and let labor go on its way. I still believe the best hopes for America lie within the organized labor movement. The dedication of people, men and women who go to work every day and have the sympathy and compassion for those who don't have a good job, to those that really care about America, those who stand up like you are here today, is what America needs. You are the pride of America. You make America what it is today, and I'm so proud to be here today. What we don't need is TPP. We don't need to see our jobs continue to go overseas. I don't know of another organization that fights as hard to stop jobs from going overseas than organized labor. Not the American Legion, which I'm a member of, or the VFW, which I'm a member of, or the Advents, which I'm a member of, on and on. Only organized labor is leading the charge to save America, to put the jobs where they belong in America. I'm not shy, and I'm not happy with our congressman for pushing this bill. Mike Demrick, who's running for Congress, he supports us. We need to back politicians, Republican or Democrat, that are pro-labor, pro-worker, and pro-keeping our jobs here in the United States of America. Let this rally send the wind across this land that we're not going to put up with this anymore. You're going to hear from us. We're going to vote. We're going to change. We're going to make America what it ever was because of organized labor. Thank you.
Community. Sounds nice. We can all do it. And we're going to do it a lot as we march. So what's going to happen is you're going to chant with me. Don't leave me hanging by myself. And then you're going to march and you're going to say it the whole way. Let's hear it again. Here we stand in unity to fight for our community. Here we stand in unity to fight for our community. Here we stand in unity to fight for our community. Here we stand in unity to fight for our community. I want to hear it all the way to the arena. Here we stand.
say, he used to film on Main Street. Ken.
I have one, but I can't say it in public. Proud.
Who's the little baby? I want to say, my daddy was there.
Is that of pride. As I stand here with you today, I believe that we can build a future for our kids right here, but it has to be together. The relationships and coalitions that we have built in recent weeks need to grow. We need to demand that the North Country gets noticed, that industry and tourism want to establish roots right here. We cannot rely on Alcoa to be the only game in town. We owe it to our friends, our families, our neighbors, and the future generations who want to call this place home to move forward and create opportunities that revitalize the North Country. So today I celebrate with you. I celebrate our past, our rich history, the families we have proudly raised here. I celebrate with our recent victories, but most importantly, I celebrate our futures and what is to come of our North Country. Thank you. Have a great day.
People working for him. Now he runs the shop by himself. When my mother retired, they closed the plant down. She was very fortunate to be able to retire, but the plant shut down. And that's been an ongoing or recurring theme in the North Country. And one of the things we have to challenge ourselves with is 30 years from now, are we going to tell the same story? Are we going to say, well, Alcoa used to be here? Are we going to say the small businesses have decreased in size? Are we going to tell that story? I say, hell no. We're going to tell a story of how we all got together as a community. We attracted business, we brought business in, and we did that with solidarity. Sometimes I get a little nervous when we think about solidarity, we think about the youth. I was at a gas station coming home from Pittsburgh about a year ago, and my car has solidarity on the back. It's got 2 bumper stickers. I had a young kid ask me, what does solidarity mean? You know, she didn't understand what the bumper stickers were. And I said, Google it. And you can Google it. This is solidarity right here. This is different factions coming together for one cause. And that one cause is our future. I want my kids to be able to stay in the North Country. The Steelworkers have a saying, and that saying is, we'll fight every fight. We'll, you know, I'm sorry, what's the saying? What the saying is, you know, we can't guarantee that every fight that we take on, we will win. But what we can guarantee is that if you don't take on that fight, we won't win. So I asked you this, if not now, when? If not us, who? Are you willing to fight with me? Are you ready to fight with me? Let's get them.
hall is closed until the ice goes out, okay? Don't take it here. How you doing?
Thank you so much for coming up.
You're building your coalitions and to keep it up. Thank you and God bless you.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is the first female president of NYSUT and also a member of the AFL-CIO Executive Council and a former local president of the Harrison Teachers Association in Westchester. Mrs. McGee taught elementary school for 30 years in the Harrison Central Schools, and since being NYSUT's president, Mrs. McGee has focused on mobilizing rank and file members and intensifying organizing efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Karen McGee.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Massena. That was horrible. I'm a teacher. Good afternoon, Massena. On behalf of the 600,000 NYSUT members and my fellow officers, I'm here to say congratulations. You did it. The labor community, in a sign of solidarity and strength, in this traditional labor town, put a bright light on what was happening at Alcoa, demanded action, and lo and behold, 600 jobs were saved. Everyone, yeah, that deserves a round of applause. You're not kidding. Now, everyone involved in this effort should be commended, but I'd be remiss if I didn't take a second or two, a little personal pride here, to acknowledge and share how proud I am by the roles that my brothers and sisters of the Massena Federation of Teachers took in leading this project and working collaboratively in this project, and a special shout out to Erin. Erin, thank you for all you've done. Now, before this situation was resolved, I would hear the stories, heartbreaking stories about students, children of Alcoa workers, children coming to school in tears, not knowing what their future was going to be. But the kids in Massena are smart. They know what it means if their folks are unemployed. They know how it affects their families and their futures. And that's why today we rightfully celebrate. We celebrate the success that working people brought to Massena last week, but we need to stay vigilant and we need to stay mobilized. We cannot rest at this point in time. We heard some of the speakers back at the high school, and we heard the talks about TPP. Global free trade policies have wreaked havoc on local economies. Here in the North Country and all across the United States, foreign nations, where too many of this country's good jobs are going, don't guarantee worker protections, don't guarantee fair compensation, or the environmental standards that we have here. You've seen it in Clinton and St. Lawrence counties before, when the former Reynolds Aluminum and General Motors plants shut down. The workers at those plants represented millions of tax dollars, local tax dollars, support for local businesses, suddenly just ripped out of the communities. We cannot rest. Meanwhile, Northern New York has a steady stream of our young people leaving. They receive a quality of education, both in our schools and our colleges locally, but then there's no jobs. Fewer and fewer opportunities to keep them here. And as these businesses leave, so does our next generation of leaders, our next generation of innovators and entrepreneurs who take their skills elsewhere. Communities like Massena are then left to tackle issues associated with unemployment and poverty and underemployment, and a scarcity of resources that impacts the schools and the services you receive. It affects entire families. It's that simple. The entire family, the entire community. It affects our way and our quality of life.
She's the president of the 1.6 million member American Federation of Teachers. Before her election as AFT president in 2008, Ms. Weingarten served as president of the United Federation of Teachers for 12 years, representing over 200,000 educators in the New York City public school system. Prior to that, as a history teacher at the Clara Barton High School in Brooklyn's Crown Heights neighborhood from 1991 to 1997, Ms. Weingarten helped her students win several state and national awards debating constitutional issues. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Randy Weingarten, sorry.
So, what is a downstater, who's short, by the way, doing upstate in North Country today on this issue at this time? It is exactly what Bob Smith said before. If not now, when? If not us, who? We at the AFT, you just heard Karen talk about how you take a vicious circle and make it into a virtuous circle. And that is what Massena did in the fight to keep the Alcoa jobs. All of you did it. It's fantastic that our leader and the MFT said, we get what this does to kids, and we're going to stand shoulder to shoulder with our colleagues, our brothers and sisters in the Steelworkers. But it's also important that the mayor and the governor and Senator Schumer said, we are not going to let happen to upstate New York what happens all across the country. We know it takes a village not just to raise a child, but it takes good jobs, good union jobs, with good wages, with a chance to retire. When Aaron and Andy, Karen, told me what was going on, I actually thought about one thing. I thought about my own dad, who when I was 12 years old, came home crying. And my dad didn't cry because he had just lost his job from Curtis Wright in New Jersey, in Patterson, because that plant was closing. That said to me, as a teenager, that there's more at stake here than profits. There's a lot at stake in terms of families being able to grow up as families, with their parents actually wanting to work. It took my dad a couple of years to get a job that he wanted. He worked in all sorts of other jobs. You know, as well as I do, that's what would have happened to every single one of those 600 people whose jobs were saved. That's not the end of it, because not only do we have these relationships and work together with the Steelworkers, as many who are here from the AFL-CIO know, our union does work on economic development throughout the country. And what we want to happen, or what we want to avoid, is what's happening in West Virginia, where we're also working, where coal was king. And when coal left, communities got hollowed out. And we're working like we're working with the Steelworkers here, with the coal workers in West Virginia, to recreate jobs, to re-envision jobs, to re-envision a path to the middle class. To have a virtual circle, a virtuous circle, a circle that says in America, if you work hard and play by the rules, you will have a pathway to the middle class. And so, my friends, my sisters and brothers, this downstater is up in North Country today to say that our union, the AFT, is not just with you here, but we are with people all across America to
I'm going to move these Steelworkers. He is a District 4 director. And District 4 covers 9 states in the northeastern U.S. and Puerto Rico. Mr. John Shin.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters and guests. I stand before you bringing wishes and congratulations from our International President, Leo Gerard, and our International Executive Vice President, Tom Conway. They both would have loved to be here. But unfortunately, we are in a lot of battles right now as steelworkers. We have 12 plants locked out with ATI, Allegheny Ludlam, right now. It's been a lockout for 4 months already. We have major steel bargaining going on right now with U.S. Steel, ArcelorMittal. Contracts expired September 1st. We're bargaining day by day without a contract. It affects over 35,000 steelworkers in this country, so they would have loved to be here, but unfortunately they can't be because they're doing other duties for our members. I do have a letter I'd like to read first from our International President, Leo Gerard. Dear friends, I am sorry that I was not able to be with you in person today to celebrate this tremendous victory. Still, I want to offer my congratulations to the brothers and sisters of USW Local 420, to their families, and more importantly, to everyone else who played a role in ensuring the future of this plant. We are celebrating today because the members of Local 420 never lost sight of what was possible and never stopped fighting until they achieved it. They know what it means to be steelworkers. Let's hear it for them. To be sure, they had help along the way. We owe a debt of gratitude to Governor Andrew Cuomo, Senator Charles Schumer, Senator Kristen Gillibrand, and State Senator Joseph Griffo, the others and all others for their support and hard work. I must also acknowledge the solidarity of our union sisters and brothers with the AFL-CIO. I want to recognize the outstanding work that New York State United Teachers did, along with AFT National, CWA, AFSCME, Teamsters, IBEW. I hate doing this, probably leave somebody out, plumbers, pipe fitters, firefighters, police. We appreciate all the support. But just a special shout out to the New York State United Teachers Association for getting this thing together. Thank you very much. Together, we've proven that when we all stand in solidarity, we can accomplish great things. You all understood the truth, which is for our factories and good manufacturing jobs, they provide a lifetime for our families and our communities. This is true in Massena and in countless other communities like it around the state and the country. Unfortunately, not enough of our current leaders recognize the truth. They talk about jobs, but then they sit by and watch them disappear. I hope the victory we are celebrating here today can provide an example for other communities facing similar crises, an example of teamwork, persistence in the face of overwhelming odds, and to put the needs of everyday Americans ahead of the needs of corporations and millionaires and CEOs. The news from Alcoa and Massena is good, but the news from Washington and from so many other places is downright scary. We've seen idle plants and laid off workers in far too many towns. This crisis is a direct result of our failure to address unfair and illegal trade. China is the biggest culprit, but there are plenty of others. The USW is attacking this problem heads-on by mobilizing members in support of the new and better laws, filing trade cases, and lobbying our legislators to oppose agreements like the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would only prove more of the same failed policies of the past. So while I applaud all of you today on this effort, I also urge you not to rest on this victory. We must continue to fight for the American manufacturing, fair trade, and good jobs. You have proven that when we stand together, we win. Now we must keep up the fight. We also received a letter I would like to read from Senator Bernie Sanders. You got some supporters in the crowd? Dear President Gerard, Vice President Conway, members of Steelworker Local 420, and the Massena community members. I am sorry I cannot be with you in person today and appreciate the opportunity to have this letter read on my behalf. What has happened in Massena as Alcoa attempted to cut good union jobs here is something that unfortunately is happening all across the United States today. The good news in Massena is that thanks to the United Union and community approach, Alcoa agreed to keep the smelting operation open and hundreds of jobs will be protected. Our middle class is shrinking as corporate America chooses not to invest in American workers. Free trade deals like the Trans-Pacific Partnership pushed by large corporations only further the loss of good-paying manufacturing jobs away from the United States to low-wage countries like China. Congratulations to all involved. I'm proud to stand in solidarity with the steelworkers and members of the community as you fight to maintain good jobs here across the nation. I am glad to help further if needed, as your fight symbolizes exactly why we need a movement of people to take on the billionaires class. Again, thanks for the opportunity to address you with this letter. Stay strong and keep up the fight, Bernie Sanders. Now, me personally, we get a call every once in a while, and unfortunately, steelworkers and somebody in my position as a director get all too many of these calls. I got it by email that they were closing the smelting operations down in Massena. I can tell you, Jim Ridgway, our staff rep, who's here today, was in the car when that announcement came down driving to Massena. We were talking. It's like getting kicked in the gut. There's no other way to describe it. It's the worst feeling in the world when you see so many proud workers that build a community and they're going to throw their jobs away. I can't say enough about the local union leadership of Local 420, the resilience of the membership here, Bob Smith, local president, Mark Goodfellow, Dave, Trudy, the rest of the committee, along with Jim Ridgway. They said, we're not going to let this happen. We are not going to let this happen. We have a position in the steelworkers. You announce a closing, we're not coming to bargain over effects. We're coming to bargain over the damn decision. Why are you closing this plant? We're going to hold you accountable for it. This success and this celebration could not and would not have ever happened if we didn't have a strong labor movement in the state of New York. And certainly want to recognize Mario Salento, who will be speaking, but what a strong labor movement in New York State. Mario called me right away. He kicked into this process. He got it in high gear immediately. Thank you, Mario. We couldn't have had this success without great elected officials. I just want to shout out and thank Governor Cuomo, Senator Schumer, Senator Gillibrand, and State Senator Griffo for the outstanding work they did. I know there are a lot of other people out there. Thank you. And look, we're in a battle for the middle class. President Weingarten said it very well. We're under attack. Corporate America, the 1%, they're trying to do away with manufacturing in this country so they can make more money by buying cheap products overseas. Brothers and sisters, history will repeat itself. We got to stop this TPP agreement. The history shows us, since 2001, 60,000 factories have been shut down in the United States because of poor, failed trade agreements. We got to say no at this time. Under the TPP, these nations in the Pacific Rim, you got countries like Vietnam, who a good wage there is 65 cents an hour. You got countries like Malaysia. 1/3 of their workforce has been humanly trafficked into the country. These are the people that are some of our elected officials, unfortunately, are trying to tell us they're going to have good labor rights, they're going to have good environmental rights, they're going to have good human rights. They don't exist now. They've never existed in these countries. And China, once again, is the worst culprit out there. We need to say enough is enough. We got to stand together. Enough is enough. If this trade agreement goes through, just one part of manufacturing, the auto parts, manufacturing of auto parts, we know, because of past trade agreements, we will lose 330,000 good-paying, living wage American jobs, union jobs that'll be shipped over the seas. Enough is enough. We got to stop it now. Once again, I want to thank President Weingarten, who's a real good friend of the Steelworkers, public sector, building trades, manufacturing, service sector. They're not going to divide this labor movement. They've tried. They've failed. They're certainly not going to divide this labor movement in New York State. It's never going to happen. They need to forget about it. In closing, I just want to thank everybody from the community, our politicians, our union family, for the outstanding work they've done. And I would be totally remiss if I didn't give a shout out to one of the greatest labor leaders I knew. Ernie LaBaff is here somewhere. Where's Ernie at? I wouldn't be standing here today. Ernie actually hired me back in 1988, and his passion, he's been battling over these fights for a long time. Ernie, we love you. We know you were a major part of this. Thank you very much. Solidarity, everybody.
Addie, I'll move the...
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. Is the sun warming you up out there? You know, Mr. Sheen said, this is just the beginning of our fight. Why don't we tell him how hard we're going to fight over the next 3.5 years to make sure these jobs stay here beyond that and for generations to come. The one thing I know for certain about the North Country and the people that live here is we are fighters, and especially when we know we're on the right side of the argument, we will never give up the fight. You know, we're standing here in solidarity, and for too many people in our country, they don't know the true meaning of solidarity. They don't know the meaning that we know in our hearts here in the North Country. We know that solidarity isn't just about the workers. It's about the retirees and all that they did for everyone that has come after them to ensure that they would have the ability to have good jobs that they could support their families with and their entire communities. So the solidarity here starts with our retirees, and then with the workers who have taken up the baton and have stayed committed to the high standards, the tough work ethics, the looking out for each other. But you know, I think all of us know, from those that are retired and left their legacy to those of us that are working right now, that the solidarity in our hearts is for all of our kids. And I'm so proud to see so many children out here today to see what solidarity means here in the North Country. You know, the United Teachers standing here alongside the trades and with the steelworkers. You know, if you think about where we started off the labor movement, was to make sure that kids weren't spending their days in dangerous factories, that they were allowed to better themselves. The creation of the American dream. That's where this started. Making sure that our kids would have the opportunities. And it's fantastic that NYSET is here in support of the trades to drive that relationship and to further solidify that relationship in our community. know, kids all throughout history have had a lot laid at their feet. We've expected children to deal with a lot of really adult things, and the North Country's children are no different. But one of the reasons why I know all of us feel it's so important to talk about the importance of solidarity and caring about your brothers and sisters and giving to your community is because we want to make sure all of you young people know that we care about you. We value you. We value your skills, your individuality, your ability to do things with your creativity and your imagination. That's what our future is. And we're standing here today to make you feel the power and the love of solidarity. You are not alone. You have all of the people of this community around you. We are fighting for opportunity today for your moms and your dads and your aunts and your uncles, and honoring your grandparents' hard work, their blood, sweat, and tears to build up this Massena community. We're here to tell you, you're going to have a place here to do just the same, to be proud of the work that you do, to put out the best products in the entire world that make people and industry and the economy run. That's what's done here in Massena now. That's what's going to be done here in Massena in the future. And I stand here to tell you all today that we will never give up the fight for good paying jobs. We will never give up the fight against corporations that do not understand the value of the American worker and the products that we make. We are here to stand together, every generation, every trade, every part of this community, whether you're a Republican and a Democrat. There are things that unify us all, and we will never forget we are all one in solidarity. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, before we hear our last speaker, I want us to give a big shout out to the Massena Police Department, Massena Fire Department, and Massena Rescue Squad. Thank you guys for all your work today. Thank you so much. Mario Salento is the president of the New York State AFL-CIO, representing over 2.5 million public and private workers in New York State. Prior to becoming president of the AFL-CIO, Mr. Salento was a member of the newspaper guild, CWA. And since becoming president, he has focused on transforming the way people see unions to ensure New Yorkers understand unions are people who work and that we are all, union and non-union alike, connected by that work. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mario Salento.
Thank you. Brothers and sisters, I have a very simple message today, very simple. On behalf of your 2.5 million brothers and sisters of the state AFL-CIO, on behalf of your 2.5 million brothers and sisters of the organized labor movement in this state, thank you. Thank you for standing together and joining together and fighting together and raising your voices together. This is what happens when we join together. We win. We win. Thank you for standing up in the face of adversity and saying enough. Enough is enough. No more. You know, this fight started because we wanted to save those 600 jobs in that facility. And that was a very noble effort. But we recognized something. It wasn't just those 600 brothers and sisters of ours in those facilities. We recognized that if those jobs left, that took away the revenue. It took away a tax base. It meant that we wouldn't be able to have the public services that we all rely on. We wouldn't be able to teach our children in our schools, or have our hospitals, or our nursing homes, or our firefighters, or our law enforcement officers. We recognized that if we joined together, we could make a difference because there was a shared sense of purpose, a common sense of purpose, and it brought us together. And it made everybody listen. It made our political leaders come out and talk and join us and lead that fight. And yes, we have to thank, and we should thank Governor Cuomo, and we should thank Senator Schumer, and all of the elected officials that helped us. But brothers and sisters, it was your voice that caused them and got them to joke with us together. You did that. You did that because you recognized something. You made the most of who you are as a labor movement and a community in this area. And that's the lesson for the entire labor movement and the standard you have now set for the entire labor movement in this state. Because in this state, we have 2.5 million union members. We have 3,000 local unions. We represent 24.8% of the workforce. Those are all great numbers, but you know what? They don't mean anything if we don't all coordinate, work off of the same page, work out of the same playbook. Those numbers are meaningless. But brothers and sisters, you did just that. You worked together and you joined together and you coordinated your efforts because you recognized that we all share a common bond. All of us, whether you're a union member or not. There's a common bond that we all share, whether you're, whatever job title you have, whatever sector you work in, regardless of whether you were born in this country or not, regardless of whether your parents were born in this country or not, regardless of the religion you practice or the color of your skin. We all share a common bond, every single working person. And it's a bond that says we all share the same needs and the same concerns and the same wants. And we all share the same values and the same principles and the same ideals. And those principles and ideals are basically this. We all want to be able to go to work every morning to support ourselves and our families. We all want to be part of the economic engine that runs this community and runs this state and runs this country. And we all want to be productive members of society. That's what we want. But it's even more than that, and I'll give you my own example. My wife and I have 3 daughters. My little girls are 12 and 10 and 5 years old. And at the end of the day, when I get home late at night and I see them, all I want to do is I want to nurture them, I want to protect them, and I want them to have a better life than me. I want them to have a brighter future than I had when I was their age. If you're a parent, that's what you want for your children. If you're not a parent, that's what your parents wanted for you, because that's the American dream. The American dream isn't about owning a new house or buying a new car. Those are residual effects of the American dream. The American dream in this country historically has been that we want the next generation to do a little bit better than the generation before it. We want the next generation to be a little bit more financially secure than the generation before it, and we want the next generation to have a brighter future than the generation before it. And the point is this, brothers and sisters, when we stand together and join together and fight together and raise our voices together like you have done here, then brothers and sisters, collectively, we have the power, you have the power to deliver that American dream to our children and our grandchildren and generations after that. You, brothers and sisters, have provided the opportunity now, not only for those 600 workers in that plant, not only for all of the teachers and IBW members and CWA members that are here. You've provided the opportunity for the American dream for everyone in this community this year, next year, and years to come. That's what this fight is all about. So, as we go forward over the next few years, we know we're going to have a lot of fights ahead of us. So, brothers and sisters, you know, well, this is a rally, right? As we move forward, are we going to stand together? Are we going to join together? Are we going to fight together? Are we going to raise our voices together? Brothers and sisters, remember, stand tall, stand proud, stand united, and remember one thing, if you remember nothing else, that we are all in these fights together. That fight for the American dream, that fight for a better today and a brighter tomorrow, that fight is all of ours together. And you've shown here today, and we know it in our hearts, that together we will win those fights. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Wacky John here with another wacky offer you don't want to miss. If you're